putting the human back in HR, not just looking at a black and white. As managers, they obviously have to work towards meeting deadlines, targets, if there are projects and things like that. The basic guidelines were that do your check-ins in the mornings, like work out your 3 times in the day where you have your check-ins. And you obviously don't just jump into the work topic, but do inquire about people's health, etc. Delegate a task for the day, review it, and things like that. Going forward, we also started talking about that don't be harsh on people missing deadlines. Try and understand what is going on behind those missing deadlines. It's not that people are not wanting to work, but there might be situations which might be beyond their control. So those kind of conversations with our managers, etc., was what the HR business partners were doing as well. Every Monday, we have food vouchers for our employees when we tied up with Raymond. Wednesdays, we have an open house with our CEO where employees can log in for an hour and have a conversation. And then Fridays, we have some of these mind challenges where people can log in, and using some of those platforms, people are engaged. And then individual team levels, they're having many competitions and many engagement activities, etc. So people are interacting, communicating, and engaging. Yeah, so I think one of the things is that you shouldn't obviously take it personally, but obviously as a human being, you do get affected, and therefore being in touch with the feelings that you have is important, and just to be able to reflect and see that what is happening. And once you have that economy, only then I believe you are able to then have a very empathetical conversation with individuals, which is dispassionate and non-emotional, but still empathic. So I think that's something that I meditate, and that kind of helps me in some of those situations to have those conversations. You do rationalize part of some of those, and you need to weigh in those things as well. And then keeping the employee at the center of those conversations. The decision was done keeping the business in the center, but then when the execution has to happen, that has to happen with the employee at the center. And I think that has probably helped me in those times. Personally, I think it is super important for me to actually get into a schedule and some kind of a routine. And that kind of helps me just put certain things in perspective. I also am very conscious that my work time does not change just because I'm at home. So I used to be in office by anywhere between 8 to 8:30. I used to be in office till about 6. So even now, my typical work timings are 8 to 6, and my meetings and calls are pretty much around the same time. So I haven't changed that bit just because I'm available and the laptop is available 24/7. Exercise, meditation remains the same. What has worked for me is as leaders, one, you should practice a lot of listening and let others have the conversation. And the second is, as leaders, in times like this, you should be okay with a bit of silence. Even when you are in room with leaders, should be comfortable with having silence and not being fill the silence by saying something, because then others will not talk. But as leaders, even in a Zoom meeting, if you have shared your thoughts, then let others get the time to speak. The second is you can invite people on Zoom to actually share their opinion. And at least I have seen that here in my team and others, that when you invite one-on-one, people are happy to share their views as compared to if everything is open. We believe that communication is really key. And while emails are there, but I think we using Zalo as a platform in order to just communicate with employees around what's happening and how they should be doing health declarations and keeping themselves safe, etc. was one of the things that we did. The other is our facilities team and the IT team kind of just rallied together to look at the infrastructure. Because when you're looking at remote working, there are a couple of aspects of remote working, I believe. One is the infrastructure, because and the physical aspect of providing resources to our starters. And the second is the emotional and the mental aspect of remote working. On the physical and the infrastructure aspects, obviously our teams just worked around the clock to ensure that each and every starters that we have had the required resources to work from home. So we got close to about 1,000 to 2,200 equipments shipped to individual employees' homes. Now, the reason why a lot of them we use laptops, but for people who are into game development or people who are into, there is a specific configuration of laptops or PCs that you require, and therefore they had to be shipped, and the teams worked around the clock. Plus also, if we kind of help employees to shift if there are any monitors or any other equipments that they required, so that they can actually put the physical infrastructure to work from home. The second aspect is about the emotional and the mental aspect of remote working. Was again in terms of the communication. People had the guidelines in terms of what they should do. We had guidelines around regular check-ins. The managers had kind of guidelines on what their role should be in during these times. And from an HR perspective, therefore, we kind of reached out to employees and managers accordingly. So those were some of the things that we started immediately in terms of when we had to make that